Hello and welcome to this month's Maggie Moment. Today I want to talk about when boys muck up. You know, a part of my work at the moment is helping not just mums and dads and teachers to better understand how our boys navigate this world, but also to correct some false perceptions out there that have been conditioned into lots of us from the years ago. And one of those is that there's an inevitability that boys will be stupid, naughty or bad. And I want to really rip that apart and throw it in the bin. Because what happens when so many of our boys muck up is that they are biologically wired to move. And sometimes moving might mean I'm going to jump off the top bunk and oh dear, there's my little brother on the bottom, I didn't see him. So that could end up in him being hurt and everyone gets really crabby, but there wasn't an intention to hurt. And so often when boys muck up, and remember the 3 rules that we really want to teach possibly all our children, but especially boys who have lousy memories, is try not to hurt yourself, try not to hurt anyone else, and try not to damage the world around you. So every now and then when they make a poor choice, they're not being bad, they made a poor choice. And rather than hit them, hurt them and shame them, which is what we've done for generations, we need to be able to help that little boy work out what it was they did wrong that wasn't okay, because they, if I didn't mean to, and oh my goodness, some of the things that boys have done, I have scratched my head over the years, seriously thinking, what were you thinking? Well, they weren't thinking. So the impulsivity and the need to move and the need to have fun often combines into making really poor choices. That can break one of those rules. So once again, help them work out why that's not okay. And the second thing is that once they realise that what they've done is not okay and they may have caused some damage, we need to help them become accountable to make it right. So obviously with little boys, you will need to help them with that step. But I'm going to say as boys get to be 6, 7 and 8 and beyond, we need to let that step be one they make. Now, how are you going to make this right? Because you've broken your sister's doll by jumping on it from a very tall height. So that's not okay. How are you going to make that right for your sister? And let them work it out, because this is how we create good men one day who become accountable when they also make poor choices and they make things right again. And then the next thing is basically underneath that, exploring, making sure they do it. So for sometimes if they've broken a window when they accidentally hit the window, we really need them to be, whatever that agreement is, if it's mowing the neighbour's lawn as well as donating some of the pocket money for a period of time, we need to make sure they do that and not get away with it. Yep, and so again, if you can see the process, at some point we need to forgive and forget our boys, that this kind of wasn't we don't keep bringing it up because it really eats away at our boys' sense of self-worth. So again, if you can always be that quiet coach, remember in the heat of the moment is not the right time to have this conversation because they're already beating themselves up and they can't hear because they're in the red room. So remember to let them come down a bit calmer and a bit quieter, possibly 24 hours later, and then have the quiet conversation and then know you're going to have to remind them next time so they don't make the same mistake. So just to say, remember you need to be careful where you're aiming. And remember, try not to damage your sister's property. Remember, and I'm going to say that sounds like, oh goodness, can't they remember? No, they don't tend to have as good a memory. So can we please not to be too harsh on our boys when they make poor choices, because we've got so many boys that were scarred deeply and shamed deeply for something they didn't even know what they did wrong. So we can correct that with loving connection, quiet coaching and accountability. So I hope that's helped you if you've got a boy who mucks up. And I hope it's helped some teachers out there as well, because we keep assuming they do things intentionally. And I know most of the time it wasn't their intention to hurt. So if that was helpful to you, if you've got any other suggestions, please share or subscribe to my channel. And that's all for today's Maggie Moment.